I was asked to briefly introduce some discussion starters for the Birds of a Feather session associated with this topic. The Birds of a Feather session will be called Autonomous Vehicles and Software Safety Engineering, and here's some starter questions and topics and thoughts to think about so you can come prepared to contribute. One is, should software developers share blame for fatalities? Right now, the autonomous vehicle industry is going state to state campaigning for regulations that make the operator responsible for anything bad that happens on the roads. It's unclear who the operator might be for an uncrewed vehicle, but it's probably not the manufacturers in most cases. Is that the right thing? Should the software developers actually have some blame if there's a fatality or other mishap? Interesting question. Associated with that are the ethics of who gets to decide when it's okay to deploy beta software on public roads, and should that even be a thing? Now, I said the word ethics, so I want to set a ground rule for the discussion. We're not going to be talking about the trolley problem because it's irrelevant for practical autonomous vehicles. There's a YouTube video here. If you really want to understand why I said that, watch the YouTube video. But the word trolley associated with the word problem is strictly off limits for the Birds of a Feather discussion. For machine learning, how do we ensure training data coverage of the operational domain? How do we make sure the training data covers everything you're going to see, keeping in mind that rare events are going to be a challenge? How do we account for high risk of heavy tail events? I'm doing a keynote at the SEAMS conference, which is affiliated with ICSE, and you can see my SEAMS keynote talk for a lot more detail what I mean about that. But this is a major challenge. What about using commercial or research quality software for life-critical systems? Is it okay for software that was part of a PhD thesis or was downloaded from GitHub to be used in a life-critical system? How much more review do you need to do? How do you assure that that software is suitable for life-critical use? Don't forget, that includes simulator software, simulation object models, machine learning development tool chains, pre-trained models, DevOps, cloud infrastructure, SaaS tool chains. Think about it. If there's any piece of software that could cause the autonomous vehicle to not behave in a safe way, whether directly or indirectly, at some point that becomes life-critical software. So what's the plan for dealing with all that stuff? And more generally, what are the gaps between ICSE research results and AV system-level safety? There are surely some gaps, but it will be interesting to hear people's perspective on what those might be and how we might address them. Thanks for attending my talk, and I look forward to seeing you at the Birds of a Feather discussion.